Hi everyone, welcome to my craft room. My name is Laura and on this channel I share crafts, hauls, and more. If these are topics that interest you, I sure hope that you subscribe, become part of my YouTube family so I can get to know you as well. And with all that said, let's have some fun. I am so happy to be joining in this Farm Fresh and Fabulous collaboration hosted by Shantell from Crafty and co-hosted by Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY, as well as co-hosted by Amber from 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. In this collaboration, we are to make a minimum of 3 farmhouse DIYs with at least one DIY using lavender. I love lavender. I have it all over my home. So yeah, I got real excited when I saw this open playlist. So I'll get into the collaboration a little more later. For now, let's get started. For DIY number 1, I'll be making a farmhouse inspirational dice. Seen these in stores and online, and I just wanted to recreate one. You can use this little dice that comes from the Dollar Tree. It is on the small side. I did paint it just in case I wanted to use it, but I ended up using this little drawer that you can get from the Dollar Tree. Some have butterflies, hearts, different shapes on the front. So I needed to cover up the opening on this box. So here I'm just taking a square plank, also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to measure that and cut it down. Now I took mine outside and just cut it with my husband's miter saw, but you can use a miter saw box. You can even just score these pieces of wood. It's very soft wood, so it cuts pretty easy. So I'm just measuring the box itself, marking it on the square plank, and cutting it down to size. And then to give my dice a little bit of weight, and so it's not hollow. And I was really kind of worried that once I sanded down the corners of this box that it might break on me. So I went ahead, I put that drawer back in, and then on the solid side of that little drawer, I added some craft sticks in there just to fill in that space so nothing rattles and everything's nice and snug. I added some hot glue just on that opening there just to seal it in. And then I'm going to take some wood glue and I'm going to, for that permanent hold, and then I'm going to use some hot glue to give it that instant hold so I can continue working on my project. And then while attempting to glue that plank onto the dice, I thought, you know what, let me add some craft sticks to the top there just to fill in whatever space was left between that drawer and the box itself. That way I had something to glue down the piece that I cut to cover that opening. It's sitting nice and flush. It won't cave in on me. So I'm going to glue down those pieces to the inside of the box, and then I'll glue that plank that we cut down right on top of everything else. And that made it a nice solid dice. Lost again, going back around. And here you can see the difference in the size of that solid wood piece on the right that you can pick up at the Dollar Tree and the one that I made on the left. And then I'm going to give these 2 pieces a coat of some watered down truffle paint so I can still see that wood grain show through the paint. This is optional, but I took some wood putty and I just filled in any crevices that I saw. I sanded it down before I applied that watered down paint. And there's a lot of techniques around to apply watered down paint. I just paint a coat on, wipe it off with a paper towel or a rag, and if I need another coat, I just go ahead and reapply. That way I can kind of get the shade that I'm going for. So this one only needed 1 coat. I like the way it looks, so I moved on to the next step. I took it outside, I sanded down all the edges, I rounded off those corners, and this is what it will look like after it's all sanded. Then I took some antique wax and a makeup wipe, and I'm going to apply that antique wax just on the areas where I sanded to give this each side a little bit of definition and some more character.
Dreaming of a time when I get things right, lost in the shadows of a million stars.
I just recently learned how to make stencils with my Cricut, and I'm absolutely addicted. It is so much fun to create something on Cricut Design Space, and it's yours, and oh my goodness. If you don't have a Cricut or a cutting machine, you can also use stickers. You can buy stencils. Walmart has a lot of them. Yeah, just make it, use what you've got and make it your own. So here I'm just applying that stencil right onto my wood piece there, and then I'm going to take one of these stencil pouncers, and I'm just going to apply some white paint on each stencil on each side of my cube. And that was it. That was it for this DIY. I absolutely love the way that this came out. I have always been afraid of stenciling because I am not a good painter. I'm not. It's not my strong point. And I recently found this technique, and I'm so happy the way that it came out. I sure hope that you all love it too. And the stencil paper, the Cricut stencil paper was only $3.99 at Walmart. So I was loving that because you get a big old roll. And this, didn't take very much paper. These are just small stencils. So here I'm just taking that paint. I'm just going to just pounce up and down, straight up and down. That's another good tip. And just going to add that white paint to my stencil. And the most exciting step in stenciling, in my opinion, is revealing that word or picture that you painted onto your project. I loved this. I didn't get any bleeding. The only issue that I had was while removing little pieces from my stencil, they would flip up and land on my project and get paint where I didn't want them. But, I'll just keep on practicing, and boy, did I get a lot of practice with this dice, right? I had 6 sides to work on. So, yeah, then after all the paint dried, I took it outside and I sprayed it down with some matte finishing spray by Rust-Oleum, and that was it. That my project was done. It was such an easy project to do. The most time consuming was creating those words on my Cricut Design Space. But you can always use stickers, like I said, or you can use rub-on transfers or something like that. So here is a picture of the word believe, and then here is a picture of the word trust. And I will show you all the other sides at the end of the video in the final reveal. For DIY number 2, I'll be making a lavender caddy using a caddy that I picked up from the Dollar General last year. I bought it for my kitchen and I intended on changing it up. Never got to it, but I feel like this is the perfect project for that caddy. So I just recently learned another new technique using tissue paper for decoupaging. So here I'm going to just take an iron and I'm going to smooth out as many wrinkles as I can. You will not get all the wrinkles out, but you want to try and get as many as you can. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I will cut that piece of tissue paper down, and I will tape it with some Scotch tape onto a piece of printer paper. I'll run that through my printer and print out the picture that I will be using. I created this on Canva, I downloaded it onto my computer, and then I just printed it out. And here is the picture that I printed out. It's still attached to the printer paper, the tissue I mean. And so now here is the caddy that I'll be using, and I'm trying to decide, do I want the 2 compartments in the front or just 1 compartment in the front. So I decided there's like a little rivet where the 2 compartment is welded together. So I ended up using the 1 compartment in the front. And now I'm taking an alcohol wipe and I'm just going to wipe it down the front of the caddy just to make sure there's no oils, there's no dirt, there's no dust, to make it nice and smooth for the application of that tissue paper. And now I'm going to take some watered down Mod Podge and I'm going to apply that to the front of this caddy, making sure it's a nice even coat with no bubbles, no dust, no particles, to ensure that that tissue paper is going to lay down completely flat onto that surface. And if you would like to create one of these for yourself, this is an important step. So just take your time, put some, relaxing music on, and just make sure and get everything smooth onto that surface. It's real important. And then I'm going to carefully add that tissue paper, laying it down in the middle, and then kind of flattening out the sides as I go, smoothing any wrinkles or bubbles or anything like that that may get on there. And it was, it's easier than it looks. It really is. I know tissue paper is very delicate, but it really is beautiful when it's done. Once the tissue paper was laid down as flat as you can get it, you just want to let this completely dry. I let mine dry overnight. I didn't add any Mod Podge on the top of the tissue paper. This works very well for me. I have tried this in the past and the ink will bleed on me, so I just let it completely dry. I took it outside the next day and I sprayed it with some matte finishing spray by Rust-Oleum, and that worked really well for me. And here it is, all nice and dry. What do you all think? I think it's beautiful, farm to market, fresh lavender, so farm fresh and fabulous, I'm hoping. So here I have some foam pieces. I'm just gonna piece them down into my caddy. I didn't even use hot glue, just in case I want to change this up later on. I'm just gonna piece them of this foam down into those compartments, and then I'll start adding some lavender. And those tools are succulent tools that I picked up from Walmart, I think a couple years ago. I've hung on to them, and this was the perfect project for those tools. And so my vision for this caddy is to make it look like I have been just outside in the fields and I've used my tools in this caddy, and I picked some fresh lavender. And so yeah, I know I'm rambling, but I have a vision and a story to tell. So I'm just going to play some relaxing music and show you how I decorated this caddy.
Lost again, going back around, dreaming of a time when I get things right, lost in the shadows of a million stars.
I have 2 different lavenders here. Some are from Walmart, some are from Dollar Tree, and I just kind of cut them down. And I took that foam out of the front compartment because I'm just going to lay those down to one side, like I said, like if I just laid them down in there, freshly picked from the field, and I'm ready to bring them in and display them in my home. This collaboration is hosted by Shantell from Crafty Hints, co-hosted by Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY, and Amber from 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. These are amazing, amazing creators, and I'm so happy to be joining them in this open playlist. Make sure to go and click on the playlist. Watch all these creators. You're going to be amazed. I love making new friends here on YouTube. This is a great way for me to do so. So yeah, go watch them, subscribe to them, and show some love and support for these lovely creators. I used some boxwood from the Dollar Tree to fill in the back where the tools are, and just to give it some fresh green contrast and to hide that foam. For DIY number 3, I'll be taking this breadboard that I picked up from the thrift store a while back. It's not a real cutting board. It's more for decor, I believe, because it's got like ceramic in the middle and then wood around it. So I am just going to clean this up. I'm going to take it outside, and I painted it with the color Serenity by Rust-Oleum, and I love, love, love that color. And do you see that stencil there, Farm Fresh? I just picked that up from the Dollar Tree not too long ago, and my intention was to use that stencil and use the color ink on the breadboard. Well, when I put the stencil on there, it was almost the same size as that square cutout that you see there on the board. And I thought, wow, that looks good just like it is. So I got out some adhesive spray. I sprayed that down. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I don't know if it's ever been done before. So I was just praying that it worked out and I didn't have to start my project all over. I took a risk, and you know what? I love it. It is glued down. It's not coming up, and it just looks like it just looks like it is made for this breadboard. I've got to tell you, wait and see in just a sec. You're going to see exactly what I mean. And would you all let me know what you think? Should I have used it as a traditional stencil, or do you like the way I just glued that down and made it look like it was stenciled on there? Yeah. So here I'm just going to carefully get that stencil and lay it right down onto that board. And do you see what I mean? Look at that. It is like the perfect fit. So there we go. I just grabbed a wet towel and I just smoothed it all down, wiped up any glue that seeped up through those openings on the stencil, and let that dry. Okay, so now for some real stenciling. I cut out the word eat with my Cricut, and I felt like it just needed, something more at the top. It was a little too plain. So I'm going to take the color ink by Waverly, and I'm just going to stencil the word eat. Like I said, I got this font. It's a Farmhouse font. I got it from dafont.com if you're interested. And so yeah, I'm just going to stencil that word, making sure I'm in the middle, and yeah. Once that was dry, I'm going to now take some sandpaper, and I'm just going to distress all the edges. And then I took some of that sandpaper and just smudged, here and there to make it look like it's worn and, been around for a while. So yeah, no rhyme or reason. I just picked a spot and just sanded it to show that black that the original board was painted. And then, like all the other projects, I took it outside, sprayed it down with some matte finishing spray by Rust-Oleum. I love that stuff. Just seals everything so it doesn't scratch as easy. And now I'm going to add some jute because jute makes everything farmhouse, right? Well, no, not. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it does add to that farmhouse charm, right? So I'm going to take some thin jute from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to add, I think, 6 or 7 strands together, and that will be my hanger. And then I made a messy bow. You just want to wrap it around your fingers however many times you want. I tied 2 bunches together to make a kind of, make it fuller. I added that to the neck of the breadboard, and then she was finally done. Thank you so much, Shantell, Brenda, and Amber, for hosting this playlist, Farm Fresh and Fabulous. I had so much fun making these DIYs, but most of all, I feel so blessed to start to get to know all of you and expand my friendships here on YouTube. It means so much to me. So thanks again, and I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope that I have inspired you to maybe make something similar or make something exactly like I made. I would love to see pictures. If you do, you can email me or you can link it on my page. But anyway, yeah, I know I'm rambling. I tend to do that on my channel. Yeah, so it's just part of my channel. So with all that said, here is the final reveal. Here are the words believe, hope, faith, trust. Every day I pray, and my Savior. Little reminders of how blessed that I am. Here they are all together. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll talk to everyone soon. Bye for now.